I would like to see a decent introduction, a body and a conclusion. No matter how serious the topic is, no matter how difficult the topic is, no matter how sad the event is. This is the base on which your whole answer is resting. And if this concluding remark is not very powerful, the answers may crumble. Hi, I would like to take you further into the answer writing series. And today, I'm going to talk about the third in the series, conclusion of the answer. Well, I always say that conclusion is the most important part of your answer for a specific reason, because it is the last thing in the mind of examiner when the examiner is actually finishing and giving you marks. Actually, it's a bridge between your answer and the marks. So one has to be very, very careful about it. The sad part, I'm sure you'll acknowledge with me, sad part is that when you've been writing and you're writing the last part of the body, suddenly your mind feels that you have spent too much of time on this and your mind is there on some other question, the next question that you're going to write. So there is a serious problem here. The problem is that you quite often risk a beautiful answer on a very weak base, I would call it. This is the base on which your whole answer is resting. And if this concluding remark is not very powerful, the answers may crumble. So one has to be very careful, and I would really insist that you have got some special time saved for writing a good conclusion. Please do not risk a good answer on a weak base. In fact, I would like to say that there could be many ways that you can think of doing your concluding remarks. One of the students says, like, say, sir, shall we write conclusion or CONC dot before we write a conclusion? No. I think sometime I think it's good for you at the school level when you write introduction and then write introduction, write conclusion, write conclusion. That was just to remind you at that stage that, hey, you have to write a conclusion, you have to write an introduction. I come from a classical generation and respect my generation because my generation is one who is going to evaluate your answer. I would like to see a decent introduction, a body and a conclusion. So in conclusion, coming back to this, one of the tools that you can have, one of the components is that when you have thematically, you conclude it. Quite often, I would like to say you start topically, here is the topic, but when you're concluding, conclude on the theme. Theme is bigger of the topic. I suppose thematic conclusion would allow the examiner to assume that you have covered other aspects of that topic, while you may have covered some aspects of that topic, not all of them, but if you go thematically concluding, I would say all those unmentioned or not mentioned points also get covered when you thematically conclude it. And that's a skill that develops with practice, but this consciousness I wanted to share here at this stage for you. Secondly, you could also remember that there are some expectations from my generation, from your generation. So when you're writing a conclusion, you also are conscious of meeting the expectation of my generation. And that is where I would like to tell you that those components which are not even asked in the question has to be mentioned, thinking about the expectations that my generation has from your generation. So feeding the expectation is also important. And you know the kind of expectation that I have got. I am assuming that you are the youth and the future bureaucrat of the country who is going to really give lots of solutions, answers, and then hope. So that expectation of hope and your age and the job you must be keeping in mind, and that should reflect as part of the conclusion. Further, I would see that you're my next generation. You're sitting on my shoulder. I'm sure you can see farther than I can see. So it is very important when I ask you something, you have to show something which is farther and deeper. So a throw in the future, a way forward, something which my horizon cannot see, which your horizon definitely can. I would like to have some component of that. Remember, my generation here asking to you. So you have to give some way forward to me also. That's very important. Well, these things which I'm mentioning to you here look very basic and you have heard about it. Quite a bit of it. I'm just giving you the logic why you should do it. You have to basically consider the examiner in mind and an expectation of the examiner, and based on that, you should be giving the conclusion. Also, I would like to say that my generation, always look at your generation from optimism and hope. So please, no matter how serious the topic is, no matter how difficult the topic is, no matter how sad the event is, since it is you who is writing, there has to be some hope and optimism, and that's very important. So, it is very important that we also remember the conclusion of this series. Conclusion of this series, where I want to show you gratitude. Thank you for listening to me through these 3 videos in the series of answer writing. This gave you some glimpse of how to really go about doing the introduction, how to go about doing some aspects of the main body, and how we should be also conscious of the fact that we write a good concluding remark. And ultimately, we take a lot of pride in KSG when we not only tell you what you're supposed to be doing, make you do, and if you make any mistake here and there, we correct you. And this is all very individually attended. I hope some indications that you got from here is going to make your answer writing effective. My best wishes are always with you.